Why do we look like Chuck E. Cheese? Are you ready, kids?
Are you ready, kids?
Here, away we go. Gross. Anyways.
Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back. It has been
872 years.
973 hours. 995.
Don't. I was going to be stuck in my fucking head. You're an asshole. I hate you. There's no way to not have that stuck in.
All day and all year. I don't even know the words. I have no idea what the words are. But I know,
and I'm sure you've never watched Rent because it's a fucking musical.
Never. Ever.
Yet here we are. You're performing it.
Yeah. Oh, it's 500. 525,600. Yeah, that's what it is. I thought it started with 900. I don't even know where that came from. Anyways, you guys, today we are talking about something near and dear to my soul. We're talking about intuition.
And it is the last episode of the fucking year.
Bro.
Yeah.
That's so exciting.
This will air December 29th.
I'm excited and I love this. And it's so good.
I know. I think it's a good wrap up.
It is. Mm-hmm. It is, because so much of what we deal with on a daily basis is intuition.
Yes.
Is it not? Like, this is like what I preach of talking about. And yes, it is December and I am in a tank top. Sorry. Yeah. I am just high strung right now and I'm sweating. It has been a week. Ladies and gentlemen, non-binary queens, yes. It has been a week.
Fucking facts.
So
yes,
that's just in a tank top, and that's where we're at.
Yep.
So, intuition is just something that I preach about constantly because it's part of the 3 states of mind. Which, if you are a subscriber, you have that PS episode, so yes. You know what I'm talking about when I say that. If not, the rest of you can Google or subscribe.
Or subscribe.
Yes, please just subscribe because your life is going to get so much better in this new coming year with all of the exciting things we have coming. Anyways, so intuition is this additive in Wise Mind, right? Of taking emotional, reasonable, putting them together. And the additive is intuition, helping you make the right decision for what you need, not what you want.
Sure.
And that's the big difference, focusing on needs versus wants, right? So what I love is that Steph and I both did research about this. So Steph has a book that she was taking things from. I watched a couple of TED Talks. So what I want to start off with is a couple of statistics because they were fucking eye-opening. My jaw dropped quite a few times. I was like,
really?
Yeah, girl. This is one from 2017 and It's now the end of 2021.
Yes.
So your brain takes in what the scientists who did this study in 2017, mind you, 74 gigabytes of information a day. That is equivalent to 16 movies. Oh,
what?
I want you to watch. Everyone has a Christmas break. You're on Christmas break right now, right? You're hearing this. So somebody's got some vacation time that they're using. I want you to watch 4 movies and see if you can fucking function after 4 back-to-back
see how much you
movies.
Remember.
See if you're even like there. See if your brain is functioning. 74 gigabytes. Another statistic. In 2005, we used about 5% of social media. That was like our internet usage.
Oh, that was MySpace days.
Yeah, right. It is up to 72% in 2019.
What is it now, like 90?
Yes. And the last one that I'll hit you with. We see about 4,000 to 10,000 ads a day. So that's 11 billion bits in our environment per second. And our conscious mind, our awake, conscious aware mind can only process 50 bits per second. You wonder why you cannot hear yourself think. You wonder why it's hard to make decisions. You wonder why you have no idea and feel overwhelmed constantly. I understand social media technology and all of that is a part of our reality in today's society. It absolutely is. But what we want to talk to you about today is silencing some of this so you can get your thinking brain back online. You can get that intuition and start to hear it, right? Like at what point in any of those three statistics, because they're huge statistics, should be slapping you in the face right now. At what point are you like, bro, even the screen time, Apple has this thing where, and maybe Samsung does too. I don't know. Apple user for life.
That for life.
Yeah, literally. Except maybe not on a computer. I don't know if I could ever do a MacBook. I mean, I probably could, but like I really do like my Google Chromebook. But anyways, sponsor us. So I can't, ads. So we can put on this podcast. So what I struggle with is that Apple does a screen time thing and it pops up and I'm like,
I refuse to look at it. I'm serious. I turned that shit off. I was like, I don't want to know.
I don't blame you.
I'd rather not.
No. So that's what I'm talking about, is like this constant barrage of information, whether it's something we need to know or not, like that it is constantly coming at us.
Well, and here's the other part is intuition and trust go hand in hand, correct? How can you trust your instincts if all you're doing is looking at other people and looking to other people and for other people and asking other people what you should do, right? Yes. It is okay to ask for suggestions, validation, to talk things through with whomever. But you know, how many times have you come to me, for example, to be like, hey, what should I do in this situation? Knowing in the back of your mind, I know what I need to do, but I want to see what she says, right? Like that's your intuition. I know what I need to do. I'm just curious about her thoughts on it, which is okay. But when you're making these decisions, make sure that you're making them based on what feels right to you.
And also that ties back to our, I think it was our episode on boundaries, where if you're consistently putting your concerns or thoughts or judgments in other people's baskets, like you're living and dying by that criticism.
Yes.
Like you're not listening to yourself at all. And that we have to learn how to sort through what's actually important or meant for us and what's not. And first and foremost, the way that somebody else is living their life or their judgment of how you're living yours isn't what's for you.
Nope.
You don't live the same life as somebody else and vice versa. So putting your eggs in those baskets, you're just giving it away. We have to be comfortable in starting to look at intuition. We have to get comfortable with walking away from what's not serving us. That's step one. Like that's the most important. If there is a relationship in your life that is not serving you, that you've outgrown, you do not need permission to leave that.
Nope.
And we're constantly looking for people to give us permission. Like
all the time.
When I posted about Thanksgiving and I was like, this is a PSA. I don't know who needs to hear this. Angel number is 444. I was like, this is a PSA. I don't know who needs to hear this. And I was saying, you don't have to go to your family's house. Like that's an expectation that was set for you by other people. Yep. I cannot tell you, like 5 people messaged me and were like, oh my God, thank you. I needed this. Like this really touched me. And I want to be like, you didn't need my permission. Not that you were asking for it, and not that that's what they were saying, because they weren't. But like in a sense, like I'm assuming the reason it would caused them to reach out was because they felt validated in that moment, right? They felt seen or heard of like, yeah, I don't want to go. And you don't have to. But like realistically, you don't need permission to do what you want to do or to live the life that you want to live.
But they can't trust themselves in making that decision for whatever reason, because they're not listening to themselves, or they're listening to everybody else say, well, you should really show up because it's family, right?
And it's not it for whatever reason. It's the exact reason you just said, because they're not listening to themselves.
Yeah.
So I could take this to how to start listening to your intuition, but are there more things that you want to add that you read about intuition before we go there?
What I thought was really interesting is the book that I have was more, excuse me, like spiritually based intuition, right? So like the Clairs, which we're not going to go into all of that because it's not relevant to this episode, but it talked a lot about how intuition can be spiritual, religious, psychological, right? Like there is psychology behind intuition. And one of the definitions that I had, it was very short and brief. And it said intuition is the capacity to know, and know is in capital letters, right? Like it's kind of like a full body feeling of like, no, I know that this is what I need to do, or I know this is kind of the direction, or I know this is what's happening. Now, do we always know to a T that whatever we're feeling is 100% accurate? No, but we can take that information and do something with it, right? We were kind of like not brainstorming before we started the episode, but we were talking a little bit about our research, and we both kind of found the same thing in terms of intuition is based on a series of patterns, right? You get this feeling, but if there's patterns behind that feeling, then there's information to back it up. And then it all kind of, you put the pieces together, right? How much do you feel, because I know for me, it plays a huge part. How much does your intuition play a part in our job?
Oh, huge,
Right?
huge, huge. And I state that in the very beginning with people. Like, if I feel like you're lying to me, we're going to talk about it.
Yes.
Like if I feel like we're avoiding or we're missing out on something, we're going to talk about it.
Even diagnostically, right? People have come into my office on day one and I've been like, this is what's going on with you.
Yes.
And they will get the appropriate testing to come back and say, you were right. And that's validating for me, right? Like I am a very strong diagnostician and I will stand by that forever.
Yes.
Or yes, I can feel when somebody's not being truthful.
Yeah.
I can feel it. I know. It's like, you know, people joke about having like a bullshit meter, but like, I know when you're being dishonest.
I absolutely do.
And so then, yes, we have a very real and raw conversation about why aren't you being truthful right now? Or what are you holding back? I feel like you're not telling me something. And I think people at times can get defensive, right? Nobody likes to be called out on lying. But at the same time, if you're not being completely honest, what are we doing here?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And if you're not ready to be honest, all you have to do is say that. All you have to do is say, I'm just not ready to have that conversation. Okay, I'll back off. No problem. But let's not bullshit about it.
Sure. Intuition has also tremendously helped me if I felt in that first session that somebody was not a good fit to work with me.
Yeah.
Many reasons, whether it was because my style wasn't the same, what they had going on was not in my wheelhouse, whether or not they needed to go somewhere else, right? Like that's an intuitive feeling where I'm like, no, this does not feel good. This does not feel like something I am comfortable doing. And I'm at the point in my life where I can very much say that without problems. I think in the beginning of my career, and we talked about this a little bit, we had this, it wasn't a savior complex, but it was like, I'm a therapist. I'm meant to help everybody.
Right.
I have to help everybody. And at the job we were at, we had to help everybody. We did not have a choice. We didn't have a choice. Whether that person was a good fit or not, didn't matter. They were on your caseload. So that kind of carried over into outpatient, but then we're like, oh shit, I don't actually have to abide by that. Right. And this isn't a, like, I want to get rid of you because I don't like you. There are things that I don't treat, and ethically and safety wise, it's not appropriate.
Absolutely.
And so then you make the appropriate referral. I don't just kick you to the curb and be like, bye, good luck. See you later. I make the appropriate referral and we go from there. Right. But I think intuition plays a huge part in that. I think intuition and parenting is huge. Right.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the fuck I was doing when I had Bug. I had an idea of like how to take care of a baby, but not as a mom, right? As like a big sister or a babysitter. But there's times when something's going on with your kid and you can feel it, right? Like,
Case in point just happened to me.
Yes.
Just happened to me last weekend.
Yes.
Like, you know patterns and you know how things aren't supposed to go, but how, like, again, how the patterns go, you know what to expect. And when they don't fall into the same patterns, it's like, something's wrong.
Yes.
Something's really wrong. I can feel it. I can feel it in my gut. And then you find out something's wrong.
Yes. Yes.
Sorry, Jeffrey texted me and was trying to see if Soph could go to my mom's house because we got Kathleen a TV. We didn't get it.
Do you think it's possible to not improve, strengthen your intuition? Like, to build it up?
Yes. Yes. So in watching the TED Talk that I watched, the couple of TED Talks I watched, one I didn't care for, but the other one was pretty helpful. And I feel like these were things that not like, it's not like, oh, I knew this already, but it was
Sure.
like, okay, yes, these all make sense when we're putting them together, right? So we're talking about intuition and it being this, like these whispers, this nudge, this gut feeling, this knowing. And that's how I describe it to people, of this knowing, this gut feeling, like,
Mm-hmm.
I know this doesn't feel right. Like something feels off, or like when I get that thought in my head that just kind of pops out of nowhere, out of random, like I'm not
Mm-hmm.
thinking about anything bad, but it's like, oh, you should put your seatbelt on. I just put it on just because, like, where did that come from? I wasn't thinking about anything. I wasn't paying attention to traffic. That's probably why it came up in my damn head. But like, do you know what I'm saying? Like in those little moments of like, oh, last night, my e-light came on, my gas light, and it was like, in my head, you should get gas. I was like, no, I'll get gas in the morning.
That's the worst decision you could ever make in your life.
Ever. And I know that.
You've known that since you were like 15.
And this morning but it's so much more awful when you're a parent, right?
Yes.
Because I got in the car this morning, I was like, oh, fuck. Like, there just wasn't time. So so those moments where it's like, no, do it. Like, that's what we're talking about.
It's
but
even
anyways,
little things of like taking different ways to get places, right? And then you find out there was an accident the other way that you normally go. And you're like, wow, I avoided that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And when you really take a step back and look at those instances, it's really fucking cool.
It's very cool. And then it solidifies that way of thinking. And the more exposures you have to listening to your intuition, the stronger it gets.
Yep.
So 4 different ways, well, the 4-step process, I guess, to start being able to strengthen that. So the first part, cut back on social media. Cut back on what you are using to numb out, whether it's TV, whether it's, social media, whatever it is. Cut back on what it is and create space for downtime. Your brain needs silence. It needs a time to decompress. It needs that time. Like, have you ever thought about, like, when we were a kid and you came home from school and your parents were trying to talk to you and it was like, oh my God, just let me be.
Yes.
That is,
I was
your
never
brain.
allowed to feel that way. Exactly. I was told that was rude.
Thank God Kathleen worked 3 fucking jobs and Richard H was doing God knows what, probably working on a rental property. Tara and I,
but it's the same thing for us.
We're given that. Yes.
After work. Yes. Like, I don't want to have one more conversation. I just need it to be quiet.
No, I don't.
I just need it to be quiet.
Care.
Your brain does not need to be overstimulated 24/7.
Agreed. So create downtime. Okay, whatever that looks like for you. Second, look for signs, patterns, repeating thoughts, or pulls in a certain direction or towards a certain situation. Does that make sense?
Yes. And let me just clarify, repeating thoughts are not obsessive intrusive thoughts. So let's clarify, right? Like, it's not like an intrusive thought that comes and you can't let it go. That's not the same thing. That's an anxious thought. So let's not lump those two together.
Intuition does not come from logic or reason.
Yep.
So intuition isn't like, oh my God, you should put your seatbelt on because you're going to die, because the likelihood of you getting in a car accident is 17 point blah, blah, blah. Like, that's not intuition.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So the third part, write it down. Write down what is coming up for you. Keep a paper on you. And then being able to keep that paper on you and start writing things down if depending on what it is, right? Like, I'm not going to write down, get gas. Like,
sure.
Like, I know I need to go get the fucking gas, right?
Yes.
But if it's something like I'd be remiss if I said when we were starting going out on our own and being able to have our own businesses, if when I first started, I knew I could do it. I just didn't know how.
Sure.
And that knowing came from like that intuition, that gut feeling of like, anytime you've ever put your mind to something, Mara, you've been able to do it. Anytime. So there's no way that you're not going to be able to do this. So like, write it down, which we did.
Yes.
We wrote it down and we've written it down daily since God knows when. Like, I can go back in my books and look, but like it's that manifestation. Once you've written it down, you're giving it permission. You are giving it permission to breathe and take up space in the environment and your world, in the universe, and manifest. Yep. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And once we have it written down, we need to understand we don't need others to validate this for you. We don't need others to validate what our gut an innermost part of ourselves is telling us.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need Stephanie to tell me I can do this. I don't need Stephanie to tell me how to fix certain situations. I don't need that. I know how to do that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think the first key, though, realistically, so the cutting down on social media is huge, but I realistically think in this little like 4-part thing, really the second step should be reevaluating relationships and partnerships in your life and see what's serving you and what's not, and walk away from what's not serving you. Does that make sense?
Because we all know that when it is a relationship that is unhealthy, toxic, ineffective, fill in the fucking blank, our gut has told us that for a long time.
Oh, wee child, I know.
It has told us that for a long time. And for reasons XYZ, you didn't want to listen, and that's okay because you weren't ready. But you need to look at whether or not you're perpetuating your own suffering by staying in a situation that's no longer effective for you.
100% correct and accurate.
And again, I think building trust within yourself is humongous for many reasons. That's how you make decisions. That's how you feel more confident. That's how you feel more empowered to do things. And you do that by listening to what your gut is telling you. Even when it's scary.
Yes. Like that's the best time to listen to it, when it's scary.
Yep.
Hopefully you guys can maybe reduce the screen time. We can reduce pouring into other people and searching for their opinions or validation. And we can start to settle into the quiet to be able to start listening to yourself.
Let's go into 2022 being more intentional with how we spend our time and listening to ourselves and focusing on your intuition, on your gut feelings, on, you know, situations that you're in. If you're like, this doesn't feel right, then you know not to return to that situation.
Leave.
Then you know not to put yourself in that situation again.
Yes. 100%. So
I can't believe we're ending 2021 with you guys.
I know. I cannot wait to start 2022.
I know. And our 1-year anniversary will be, you know, like a month and a half into 2022. Which is
so excited.
So wild, but it's so cool. It's so cool.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Ugh, I love it. Okay. So if you want to talk with us, chat with us, because we love talking to you guys. We love chatting with you guys. We are beyond appreciative for everyone who has been sharing us lately or putting us in their stories for their Spotify Wrapped. Ugh. Thank you.
I die every time.
Literally, I'm like, oh my God, you listen to us? It said 11 countries.
I know.
And one was like Vietnam or something. I was like, who's listening to us in Nam?
Seriously.
Message me.
Seriously.
Oh my, 11 countries? What?
Yeah. I know. I didn't think we were outside the States, to be quite honest.
Oh, yeah. Hawaii's in America.
Oh, yeah. Belongs to us. I forgot.
Victoria, I love you. Anyways.
Yes.
No, I had no idea we were in other countries, honestly.
Right?
Oh, that's so exciting. Okay. Anyways, you can find Steph at Spooky Mom.
Nope.
Spooky Fit Mom 13. You can find me at BEA_XO11. You can find us at Rewriting Her Story Podcast on Instagram and YouTube. You can email us at rewritingherstorypodcast@gmail.com. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, we'd love to hear them. And also, please, if you have any topics that you would like covered, I feel like all of December, except for this one, because this one was like, near and dear to my heart. All of them were user questions or topics that they want covered. So please, by all means, if there's anything you want to know or want us to talk about, we'll talk about it.
Yes.
Okay. We love you guys.
Will see you guys in the new year.
Happy New Year! I'm so excited.
Bye.
Bye.